Today, we're breaking down something called the Calm Learning Protocol. It's a framework designed to help you escape that endless cycle of consuming information and instead start building skills that are deep, real, and truly unshakable. So let's get into it. I want you to start by asking yourself a pretty direct question. Think about all your learning, all the books you're reading, the podcasts, the courses. Is all that activity actually creating tangible results? Or if you're being honest, is it just making you feel more overwhelmed, like you're constantly behind? And this leads us to a really strange paradox, especially for high achievers. You'd think that the more you learn, the more you do. But it's often the exact opposite. This constant hunt for more information, it doesn't lead to action. It leads to paralysis. Your knowledge grows, but your execution just grinds to a halt. So let's put a name to this problem. We call it the binge learning trap. And you've got to watch out for this one because it's subtle. It's when studying stops being about learning and starts being a very clever way to procrastinate on the real, uncomfortable work that actually needs to get done. At the heart of this trap is something we call information gluttony. It feels so productive, doesn't it? Finishing another book, listening to another podcast, you get this little hit of accomplishment. But let's be real. It's a sophisticated way of hiding. You're creating the feeling of progress to avoid the discomfort of actually putting yourself out there and doing the work. When you put these two approaches side by side, the difference is just stark. Binge learning is all about volume, a frantic race to consume more, and the end result is always overwhelm and noise. Calm learning, on the other hand, is all about depth. The pace is unhurried and deliberate. The goal isn't just consumption, it's execution. And the result? Clarity, and eventually, true mastery. Okay, let's make this real. I want you to picture a founder. He's listening to 3 business podcasts a day. He feels super productive, right? He knows all the latest strategies, all the hacks. But the problem is, he's so busy learning what everyone else is doing that he never actually implements anything in his own business. Or what about the student who's bought 5 different sales courses? He's got tabs open everywhere, trying to absorb every single script, every tactic. And what happens? He's so completely paralyzed by all the conflicting advice that he can't even do the one thing that matters. Just start a simple conversation with a prospect. So let's just call this what it is. This isn't education. It's not learning. It's using the idea of study as a shield. You're hiding in the information because actually practicing, actually doing the thing, well, that feels risky. It feels uncomfortable. And this brings us right to the core idea of this whole protocol. Mastery has nothing to do with how much you consume. It's about how much you can actually execute when the pressure's on without all that noise and overwhelm clouding your judgment. It's about your capacity to perform. So, if binge learning is the trap, what's the way out? Well, the alternative is the Calm Learning Protocol. And look, this isn't some quick hack. It's a completely different strategy. It's about building a permanent asset, a skill so ingrained it becomes a part of who you are. This whole protocol really boils down to 4 key ideas. First, depth over breadth. You master one thing completely before you even think about moving on. Second, unhurried clarity. You have to practice without the pressure of a big performance. Give yourself space to fail. Third, deliberate practice. The focus totally shifts from what you know to what you can consistently do. And finally, my favorite, strategic limitation. You actually limit how much you study to force yourself to execute. Think back to our founder with the 3 podcasts a day habit. The shift for him was incredibly simple, but so profound. He just replaced all that noise with short, focused practice sessions. He stopped trying to learn everything and started mastering the one essential thing that would actually move the needle in his business. And this is where it all leads. This is the real payoff, moving beyond just knowing something in your head to truly embodying it. This shift right here is the true financial multiplier. Here's a hard truth that a lot of smart people miss. The market doesn't care how many books you've read. It doesn't pay you for your podcast queue. It pays for what you can do. Your ability to execute a valuable skill with calm and with clarity, especially when things get tough. That is the asset. And that's what we mean by embodiment. It's when a skill stops being something you're trying to do, and it just becomes part of who you are. It's so practiced that it's effortless, it's steady. Think about a great musician on stage. They're not thinking about the notes anymore. The skill is embodied. They're just playing. That's a foundation that doesn't crack under pressure. Okay, so we've talked a lot about the theory, but how do you actually start doing this? Like right now, today. Let's make it super practical.
Here's your mission. Step 1. Just pick one core skill that you know you need to master. Maybe it's writing a good email subject line or asking a tough question on a sales call. Step 2. Block out just 15 minutes on your calendar today. That's it. And step 3, for those 15 minutes, you do nothing else. No phone, no email, just you practicing that one thing with total unhurried focus.
So I'll leave you with one final question to really think about. Look at your day. What are you consuming right now that you could trade for practice? What podcast, what book, what course can you put on pause so you can finally start embodying the skills that matter? If any of this is resonating with you, it's probably time to make the shift. It's time to evolve from being a perpetual student into a focused practitioner. Calm learning is about building real assets that create real results. To get started on that journey, you can learn more at 365freedom.online.